Okay, guys, so anybody who's been following me on Twitter pretty much knows that a huge Reddit leak came out yesterday. Now, this isn't really something that's 100% validated, but Reddit leaks happen all the time, and I've seen those happen in other games. And this one sounds pretty genuine. It sounds so. This is pretty much an employee who works for a company that's contracted by Konami. It's not directly working within the PES development team, but they have been shared some information so that they can get the work done for PES developers. And he doesn't have everything, but he has a pretty good idea, or so he says, about what's going on. And pretty much he and many other developers working on the title are very angry and upset about the way the game has been marketed so far. And the reveal trailer did not really show what they have been working on. And he says that the only goal of the reveal trailer was just to talk about the free-to-play and the cross-platform solution. And that was it. None of the visuals shown except for one piece, which I'll tell you about, which is what I'll have playing here. This is the only part of the trailer that was next gen was the stadiums cycling between night and day, and with the sprinklers on. This was the only next gen reveal. Otherwise, everything else was old gen or current gen or mobile sometimes, and that was pretty much it. They didn't want to show anything next gen in this trailer, and that was obviously a huge mistake and a huge marketing error. Like, I don't know who they hired for their marketing and for their trailers, but he made a horrible mistake and a horrible job. You do not showcast your worst graphics in your first opening trailer. You're supposed to dazzle people, and that was horrific, seeing those very horrible crowds in the background and the bad janky animations and the textures and the horrible grass and the lighting that was very old gen. This was all a huge mistake. No matter how much Iniesta and Messi and Neymar you cram into the trailer, that is what you don't do. You don't put old footage and old visuals. So anyway, he says that the only next-gen footage was the stadium opening scenes. And even that, they screwed up. They screwed it up by mixing it with real footage and real pictures, which has no place in a gameplay reveal or in a game reveal, period. There's no way that this is a good idea. So the only saving grace of this footage is the next gen footage, and you dilute that with real footage. I don't get it. I mean, this person really should have no business making trailers after this horrible job that he pulled off, or they pulled off. So anyway, yeah, the next gen footage looks actually pretty impressive. It was so good that I was quite not sure if it's real or if it's not. But it looks amazing, to be honest. And if the rest of the game looks like this, then next-gen graphics are going to be as impressive as he says. And he does say that the graphics on next-gen are going to be incredible, as he describes. He says they are far superior to Fox Engine and far superior to FIFA 22's Frostbite reveal, which is a big promise. But that's incredible as well. But he does say they are not as good as what was promised in the teaser from last year, which had Messi walking on the grass and looking to the camera. He does say that there will be a paid update for Unreal Engine 5, which is expected. And it's not their fault, to be honest. I'm not sure if it's going to be a paid update or not. He said it's going to be an update for Unreal Engine 5, and it's unclear if it's going to be paid or not. But it makes sense that they're not going to wait for Unreal Engine 5. Unreal Engine 5 was supposed to launch mid-2021, so it was delayed 6 months. So that's not their mistake. So looks like they stuck with Unreal Engine 4 and the huge limitations that are not having nanite and not having lumen available, which are features of Unreal Engine 5. So there's going to be an update for Unreal Engine 5 coming early next year. So, and I think this is why we haven't seen plenty of Unreal or plenty of next-gen footage, because they kind of revolved their entire plan around Nanite and Lumen, which are features of Unreal Engine 5, and then Unreal Engine 5 got delayed, and they can't wait 6 months when releasing the game. So what they're going to do is release a kind of watered down version with Unreal Engine 4, and then we're going to get the amazing next-gen version, the full version with Unreal Engine 5. Now, speaking of the PS5 version, so yes, the PS5 and Xbox Series X will be completely next-gen when you're playing offline. Now, when you're playing online, if you're playing against another PS5 or Xbox Series X player, you'll get a next-gen version. But if you're playing against a mobile user, you will get a mobile version on your PlayStation 5. And that is a horrible compromise. I cannot believe it. And it's not just graphics that will be scaled down. No, it's also gameplay. Mobile users will have fewer animations, scaled down AI, less precise physics. I mean, this is a horrible compromise. It is definitely not worth enabling crossplay. Crossplay makes sense if I can choose who I will be matched with. If I can choose only Xbox Series X versions or PC when PC becomes next gen, then that's worth it. Maybe even PS4 only, but if it's going to be a blanket crossplay decision, so I can either opt in or out of crossplay, which is what he seemed to imply. He seemed to imply that you will get a warning when you first start playing online. Do you want to enable crossplay or not? And if you choose yes, then you're rolling the dice. If you match up with a mobile user, you get a mobile game. If you match up with a PS4 user, you get a PS4 game. You get scaled down. It doesn't get scaled up. And that is shocking to me, because I thought that you would get a PS5 version no matter who you're playing with, and then this mobile user will get mobile assets used for his game, and the PS5 user will get PS5 assets for the game. But no, and it's not just about the graphical assets. Apparently the gameplay will suffer too. And that's horrible, and that is something I would never want to enable as a PS5 owner. I'm not a PS5 owner, but if I were to be a PS5 owner, I would never want to downgrade my game, and not only graphics-wise, but also gameplay-wise, to the level of a mobile user, just so I can play a game faster. And apparently, they've calculated that if they only allow matchmaking to happen between next-gen, the delay will be at least 10 minutes between the games, and that's horrible, of course. Nobody would play this mode if they had to wait 10 minutes between games. So there's a much better solution. Just make PC next-gen on launch. There are millions of PCs out there capable of running this game with next-gen graphics, obviously. But apparently, for some reason, they decided to make PC next-gen only after launch. So there is a patch planned to make PC next-gen. I sure hope it's not the one that comes with Unreal Engine 5. So we shouldn't have to wait till January or February for the next-gen version. That would be horrible. The solution is just to make PC next-gen on launch, but apparently that's not the plan. They're going to make PC current-gen on launch, and then they're going to release a patch on PC to make it next-gen after launch, and nobody knows when this patch is going to come. They haven't been told. This guy's company or branch or division that's been hired by Konami hasn't been told when this patch is coming, but they've been told that it's coming. So it's not all bad news for PC users. PC, he says, will still remain moddable. Everything will be moddable on it. Now, I'm not sure Cider is going to work the way it used to work. It's going to be a whole different code that will be required. But again, hopefully we'll be able to add stadiums down the line once they're compatible with Unreal Engine. But yeah, a horrible compromise, having to have next-gen users downscale their gameplay and graphics when they match with a mobile user. And the solution, as I said, is just to make PC next-gen on launch. It's a very easy solution. PCs have settings. Like, it's not like I'll be stuck with the highest graphics settings. If mine doesn't run as optimally as I want it to be, then I can just scale it back to medium or to low graphics. But to have it current gen on launch is a very bad decision, and playing online with NextGen is going to be a painful experience. So you're either waiting 10 minutes to get a NextGen game, or you're going to wait a few seconds but get a scaled down game. He also says that the edit mode is identical. He says there's no stadium creator, and there will be very minimal changes to Master League, which will be rebranded, and that's pretty much it. He said that there haven't been much resources dedicated to improve Master League because there's no money in Master League. It's a single player experience. So, and the whole focus of this next generation of eFootball is on online play. Their aim is to rival FIFA's Ultimate Team and ultimately overtake it. And they think that their plan of adding crossplay and making it free to play are solid steps into this direction. And it might as well be, especially with good graphics. But again, this graphics is gone down the line since the game will get scaled down, apparently. Apparently, Unreal Engine is not capable of allocating different assets for each console, and the game needs to scale down to the lowest denominator, which would be a mobile user if you're matched up against one. So yeah, obviously very, very disappointing news for Master League enthusiasts that there will be very minimal changes to it. Now there is the odd chance that a different team was allocated to fixing Master League. I don't think that would make sense because there is no money in Master League. It's a single player experience. They really want to put all the focus on my club and online play, and I don't mind it. I'm a strictly offline player. I don't play online at all. But if you're getting your own dedicated servers, which we are this year, it means that we'll have less lag sheeting. Things are going to be a whole lot easier a whole lot more palpable online, a whole lot more palatable online. So yeah, I mean, I might give it a try. I enjoy playing against a human versus playing against AI. So if PC is next gen, and if I can use my modded stadiums online, which you couldn't use with PES 2021 unless you used Parsec. But if there's a solution to play online with my modded stadiums, if there's a solution to play online with my modded cameras, and speaking of cameras, he says the cameras in the build that he's played were identical to the ones in the current gen. They haven't changed at all, but most likely they'll be editable on PC. But this is, again, very disappointing. I mean, we've been calling for this for several years at this point. Make the broadcast camera editable and make it unique to every stadium the way it is in real life. But apparently nobody's been caring about cameras that much. So the cameras are still fixed, apparently, in the current build at least. Another piece of news, he said that 11 versus 11 is probably gone. 11 versus 11 is probably gone, which is horrible news again. I've seen WAPES League playing 11 versus 11 all the time with PES 2021. And he says that they're going to have 3 versus 3, but they don't have 11 versus 11. And he doesn't believe that we're going to have 11 versus 11 anytime soon. Again, I think they're trying, their servers are probably not good enough to handle it. Konami never had servers for any game, so this is kind of their first venture into dedicated servers for a sports game. So probably why 11 versus 11 isn't there online. That's disappointing news, obviously. He confirms that there won't be a Switch version, which makes sense. I'm not sure if it makes sense since they have a mobile version, but this mobile version probably is using a controller, like a genuine DualShock controller or any controller that can connect via Bluetooth. I really doubt they're gonna make mobile users play against console users using touchscreen controls. Doesn't make sense. I don't think they're going to allow that. But yeah, Switch version isn't there, probably because of the controls. He says the performance, now about gameplay, he says that the performance test really only was a server test, and that's only what it was. Gameplay-wise, he says nothing's going to be like that, neither current gen nor next gen. He says this is a very old console build. It's not next gen, it's not mobile version, and it's not current gen. And he says that the trailer gameplay was also from a very early console build, and that it definitely was not next generation. Now, this is, again, we've spoken about the horrible marketing, and I just didn't expect Konami to have marketing that bad after last year's amazing Whedon's trailer. I felt that when Whedon's left Konami, they'd have a replacement in line, or they'd have an idea of what to do. But apparently they are clueless about how to market a game. And I'm expecting, and he's expecting as well, the next reveal to be very visuals heavy, just to make up for the horrible job that they did with the first trailer. But yeah, even the gameplay that they've shown was apparently a very early console build and not next gen. And if you noticed how janky the animations were, especially with Iniesta moving sideways and the stuff, he said that there is a new animation cycle system. So even with next gen, the blending between animation cycles is much smoother and looks a whole lot better than what we've seen in the trailer. So it's not just the visuals that will improve when we see the next gen reveal. Also, the trailer, the animations will be a whole lot smoother, so that's also good. Now about the menus, he says that the menus have improved from the last generation of PES games. He says that it's easier to navigate, but it's not great, and the colors aren't to his taste, and the UI overall is not to his taste, and that FIFA's UI is still superior in his opinion. But again, he thinks that the UI and menus have seen an improvement, but it's just not going to appeal to everyone, which is expected with Japanese games at this point. Japanese games have traditionally had pretty poor menus, especially Konami games, let's be honest. I mean, especially PES games. Maybe Metal Gear Solid games had decent menus, but not PES games. And looks like this trend will continue. FIFA still has the upper hand there, as expected. But yeah, most importantly, the gameplay, he says, is very different on next gen. He says it's going to be very different on next gen. Not so much different on the current gen compared to what we have now. He says he didn't get to play it a lot because it's not part of his role. But from his limited gameplay, next gen is a bit slower and a whole lot more precise, especially with one-on-one situations. So yeah, it's very disappointing to be playing on PS5 with this much improved visuals and gameplay, and then be forced to downscale your game to a mobile user. I just can't get over this point so far. I don't know what they were thinking. If Unreal Engine is not able to allocate specific resources to each console while playing together online, what is the point of crossplay then? And if that were the case, then they should be desperate to make a PC next gen on launch, so that they wouldn't have to force PlayStation users or PS5 users and Xbox Series X users to downgrade their game in order to have a timely matchmaking experience. It's just very surprising, but apparently that's the case. I mean, I would never enable mobile crossplay as a PC user, and if I were to be a PS5 user, it's just not going to happen. So anyway, just to wrap up, apparently this trailer showed nothing next gen except for the first opening shots that were next gen, the stadiums that were shown, not the real footage, which was stupidly inserted into the trailer for no reason. And apparently we haven't seen a next gen gameplay yet. they apparently weren't ready for that, which makes sense with Unreal Engine 5's delay. Hopefully, by next month, they're going to show us something that looks a whole lot more like NextGen. And he says don't expect something as good as Messi's reveal last year, although this might be waiting for Unreal Engine 5's patch, which should come sometime early next year. So that was pretty much it. Now again, none of this is confirmed, none of this is straight out of Konami. It would have been smarter to release this information with the trailer, but apparently they thought otherwise. So again, we'll find out in August if any of this is true. Now, do I think it's true? Do I think that it makes sense? Actually, after I saw this trailer, the only thing that stood out to me was that I have seen two versions of the game. I've seen the gameplay, which was horrible, and I've seen the opening stadium shots, which looked incredible. And it makes sense that one didn't belong to the other. And it looks like that's what's happening here. And when he said that casually, he even mentioned it casually, that these opening shots of the stadiums were the only next-gen shots that we used in the trailer. It kind of gives some validation to everything else that he says, which makes sense. So, yeah, I kind of believe it. It's still, take it for what it is. It's a leak from an unconfirmed source. But it's a leak that makes sense based on what we actually saw. It's not just a leak into the void with nothing to validate it. Yes, it makes sense that these shots don't belong to the gameplay that followed. So that's my opinion. I think it makes sense, and I'm going to go with that information till we see the August 25th or Gamescom reveal. Till then, I'm not going to make any other videos. Even though I recommend you keep following what he says. It looks like he's going to keep using his account. He's been posting information as I'm making this video right now, but none of it really warrants a new video. It's just reiterating what he said. He doesn't want to say too much just to not expose who he is. Somebody who loves his job, which he says he loves his job. Why would he risk his job by revealing this leaked information? Now again, I don't think there's enough to identify who he is in the leaks, but I think he'd be safe. And if I were a fan and if I knew what he knows and I worked with Konami, I would obviously be very careful about leaking it, but I would definitely want to leak this, and this needed to be leaked out. I wouldn't have the community wait a whole month to rectify the damage that this trailer has done. So if they're not going to do it, I personally would have done it myself while being very cautious about what I leak and what I don't leak. And while using VPNs, which he says he's using just to avoid his IP from being tracked. So that's pretty much it. Hope this information helped ease your pain after the first trailer. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.